Welcome to the College of Wealth podcast, the ultimate financial guide to help you understand your financial stresses and how you can build from it. Your lessons won't be in class, and your projects can either save you or earn you money. We host episodes 2 times a week on Tuesdays and Thursdays to help you reach your financial freedom. Now let's get started with your hosts, Owen, Paradis, and William Goulet.
Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone. My name is Owen Paradis. I'm here with my co-host, William Goulet, and we're proud to present to you the College of Wealth podcast.
Podcast.
Yes, this is the College of Wealth podcast. This is a financial podcast that teaches you the latest and greatest information about money, because at the end of the day, this is a crazy money-making world.
Crazy in more than one sense, whether it's the making money part or just all the changes that's going on. We've seen it in the past 2 years. And while I already admitted that it's the money-making part and that it's crazy in that sense, so I'm going to stop it here.
Well, I mean, I agree with what you're saying there. We both agree, which is a good thing. We do like to go and say that it's a financial podcast. And because of that, we like to go and indicate that this podcast is for entertainment purposes only. It's only really meant to go in.
So I agree to entertainment purposes only, because you know we like to say that we like to get people's gears turning, right? Not be the final source, but yes. I think that we should actually include, as part of our pitch and our introduction, the information part, because if we don't, then it sort of puts us as an entertainment podcast. But I like the idea of us being an information and entertainment podcast. And I'm going to do something a little different here. I'm throwing in the quote of the day in the intro.
Holy
intro.
Shoot.
Now, you'll remember that this week it's Ronald Reagan that we're quoting.
Yes.
And I have a 3-word quote from him that I want to bring up. He says...
Just do it.
They're not as popular of a 3-word as that, but they're pretty good. Trust, but verify. Trust, but verify. So you're giving advice, and that's what we do here at the College of Wealth podcast.
What a way to throw it in right at the start.
Thank you. And that's what we do. We provide good information to get your gears turning, the trust, but we're not your final destination. You know, we shouldn't be. So verify it at the same time. That being said, let's include the information part in our pitch. So let's do something like infotainment. What do you think?
I like it. I like that quite a bit.
Right
wow.
Right
really good way of doing it, Will. I love it. Because pleasure. It's true. Also, all the stats and everything that we go and talk about here, I do look up the information that it comes from. So I'm not pulling out of this information out of a hat. And also the reputation of the website. So we've had we've had some websites like when we first started where we were like, I don't know if this is 100% true or anything like that.
And just the name of the site sometimes can throw you off, you know, like hotcoursesabroad.com. Now, we're not making a statement on their reputation, but the name is quite unique, let's say.
Yes, and for the purpose of the stats, it was a little bit off-putting at the time being. But needless to say, that was at the beginning of the podcast when we first started recording. We've come a long way since then. And the information that we come out is stuff that you can easily find online.
Yeah.
So without further ado, I also like to go and include the fact that both Will nor myself are not financial advisors here.
Well, certainly not me anyways.
Me either.
True.
But but like Will was saying, although we do like to make your gears turn or anything like that, it's infotainment. But both Will and I have studied business. Like we went to school. We both have our bachelor's degrees in business. I work finances. Will works marketing.
Yeah.
We work business. We breathe business.
Which is to say that our interest for the subject of this podcast and all of the other podcasts is valid. But not valid in any kind of way. Valid in the Gen Z kind of way.
Yes. Cringy but true. Yes.
Yeah, it's true. It's so true.
We also have 2 other reasons why we do this podcast. 2 main reasons. Not only to be valid, but that's one side reason, but we have two main reasons here.
Could I jump in?
Yes.
Well, another reason that we do it is, and one of the main ones I'd say, is making money. We said that we're in a crazy money-making world, so it only makes sense that we want to contribute inside that world because we're confirming it's our interest. It's valid. Mm-hmm. We want to participate. We want to make money. And whenever we can't do that, I mean, how else can we increase our net worth? Well, sometimes if you're not making money, you got to go and have another passion. In our case, we love to save money.
It is true. I agree with that 100%. I also like to go and include the fact that this is episode 120. Is this 121?
This
sure is episode 121. Oh my lord! Yep. It's because last episode I don't have it marked down, so this is 121. Correct. But before we do that, I just have a little bit of cleanup. Not clean up, but just a little bit of...
We got to stop saying clean up.
Well, I know. I'm just saying, as an FYI, if you haven't done so, give us a 5-star review on Apple or Spotify. It would be greatly appreciated. Helps us with the algorithm. Go check us out on Instagram. Go check us out on TikTok. Go check us out on YouTube. They're also visuals. You want to go and do that. You're a more visual person. That is how you got to do it.
You want to see what we look like? You want to see our expressive faces? Because we have very expressive faces. Especially one of us, which I won't say who, but it might be me, Yeah. So, watch it. And it's mostly, your instinct will kick in. If you're on a platform, you know what's best to support us. It's either a like, it's either a subscribe, It's a follow. You know what it is. You share it. I mean, sharing is always the best way to go.
Yes, thank you very much, Will.
My pleasure.
And now that we have, yes, exactly. Now that we have that said here, we got to go and talk about episode 121, and that is the biggest monetary fears / stresses, and how you can tackle it. Stresses.
Let's get right into it.
Yeah.
No. But I think this will be an interesting one. Fears of the monetary fears. That's very unique. I look forward to it.
The biggest causes of monetary stresses and fears or anything like that, and how you could tackle it. So I just think it was something. I was just brainstorming ideas, and I'm like, oh my gosh, we've never tackled something like this here.
Yeah, and we don't just bring up problems; we bring up solutions too. So
yes,
right on, man.
So the way we have it is broken down, though, the stats in 4 different sections or 4 different parts. Yeah, stat man, of course,
of course.
And I don't want to waste anyone's time here, so we're gonna go and hop into our stats. Our first one has to do with Canadians. What percentage of Canadians lose sleep because of financial worries? This is an Omni report.
Lose sleep.
Lose sleep because of financial stresses.
Oh my. Well, I'm guessing it's gone up a little bit recently. Let's call it a pessimistic 35%.
48%.
Oh my goodness. Oh wow, that is not good.
Yeah, it's not the greatest, but we're going to be talking about.
So important too.
It is. It's only going to make it worse when you have lack of sleep.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Okay. Flabbergasting immediately.
Our second stat is across the border here in the United States of America.
Hello.
What percentage of Americans have felt stressed about money this last month? This is according to the American Psychiatric Association.
And this last month, this is a recent stat?
Yeah.
Okay.
September 2022. September of 2022. So it's very recent.
Worries about money, that's probably gone up too. If the other one is losing sleep over 48, I'm going to go with the same exact number. 50% that people worry about money.
Try closer to 84%.
Wow.
84%.
Oh. Man, I don't know why I didn't go higher, because losing sleep is like extra worry. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, that's a good point. Now moving on to our third stat. What percentage of Canadians don't work with a financial professional? This is according to the Certified Financial Planners of Canada.
I think that's a very high percent. I'm going to say a lot of people do it themselves.
Now, this is not just CFPs. We're talking about any professional help.
Yeah, someone who might advertise their help.
Correct. Yes.
Their financial help.
Correct.
I'm going to say 80% don't work with someone. So 4 out of 5 Canadians.
In this case, it's a little bit better than that. 61%.
Okay, so 3 out of 5 Canadians don't have any help. Okay,
yeah.
Right on.
And last but not least, what percentage of people couldn't be happier? Like, their biggest happiness is if they had their finances in order.
Oh, that would be their biggest source of happiness?
Yes.
This
is according to Northwestern Mutual.
You know, it seems like people who have achieved that goal will never say that that's their goal anymore. But I think if 84% are worried, a lot of people will vouch for it. Let's go for 70%. 70% say that that's what will make them happy.
87%.
Wow.
Yep.
That's a lot. Holy crap, man.
A lot of stress. And it just seems to, like, I'm not going to bring up specifically the stats right now, but if you look at the trend lines, financial stress is only increasing by age, by generation. It just going up and up and up and up and up. So the baby boomers are this type of stress, while then the Gen Z, or not the Gen Z, but the millennials are significantly more stressed. Mm-hmm. And the Gen Z, which are almost too young to describe right now because they make such a small portion of working population right now, are also equally, or if not more stressed than millennials.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I can see why, because it seems like although we have access to more information, people are less and less informed because they rely on the ability to be able to look that up. So you can see how it would get harder. But man, you really wiped the floor with me in the stats today.
We have more stats coming here. I told you.
Okay, I got
beforehand.
my chance to make up.
Yeah, we got more stats coming along the way. So our number one reason here, we are going to hop right into this here.
Let's do it.
The number one reason for stresses right now, and it's the most obvious one, is paying off debt.
Sure. Okay. Yes.
A lot of people are stressed because of being able to pay off their debts.
True.
And they say that in the United States, 32 out of 50 U.S. states indicate that it's literally their biggest stressor right now.
Sorry, how many?
32 out of 50 U.S. states indicate that it's their biggest stressor.
For their citizens.
Yeah.
My goodness.
Yep.
Holy moly.
So it just goes to show you how big of an issue that that we face, a reality that we all face today. But we're here to go and help you out. The first thing here, some of it's going to be a little bit somewhat repetitive, but you'll need to look at the angle on it.
Okay.
And not exactly everything is done exactly the same.
Yeah.
So the first thing you got to do is evaluate the loan sizes and what exactly is causing you the stress, and who exactly are you paying the most for this? Is it your mortgage? Is it your car, a line of credit, or is it just your credit cards? What exactly is the root cause, or what is it? What is your loan size exactly, and what is your goal to try and pay them off? If you're looking to try and paying off your debt, are you just paying the minimum? What exactly is going on? What exactly? You need to figure out what the root cause of this is.
Yeah. Because if you don't figure it out, you might just be paying the minimum, like you said.
It's going to be worse.
If it's for credit cards, man, that racks up so fast, man.
Imagine if you have $1,000, and they say the minimum is $10 or something redundant like $20, the minimum, and it's got a 20% interest rate on it, which is typical for credit cards. Yeah. Do you think that $20 is going to actually reduce your payment? How much of it do you think is going towards principal here?
Just a fraction of that. Yeah.
None.
Well, yeah, true. You're just servicing the debt.
Yeah, that's
and
exactly
it's not
it.
enough either.
Exactly. So you need to see exactly what you're paying, where it's going, and everything. The next part to this here is you got to go and build a game plan. So now that you know where the issue, what's going on, you got to build that game plan to pay off your debts. No, not doing the minimum payments. No, not doing, not buying more things or anything like that. Go and actually sit down and write down your goals. So it's like, okay, well, I have $25,000 in debt. Mm-hmm. And I'm not really saying a mortgage right now, unless you're house poor. Being house poor is a totally different story.
Yeah, but I think for the average person, a mortgage isn't usually, it contributes to your lifestyle so much more than let's say, clothing, credit card debt.
For sure. But depending on how aggressive you want to take it, if you have a $500,000 mortgage for a 5-bedroom, 2-washroom house, when you're only 3 of you in the house, like 2 parents and a child, depending on how aggressive you want to be, that root cause could actually become the mortgage itself.
True. Yeah, that's right.
You're house poor.
Yeah, if you're upside down on a deal, or you just over leverage yourself,
yes,
it's possible too.
It's really not good there. So the other thing to figure out is the framework, like the timeline, what you're going to be cutting back on, what are the interest rates or the terms of the loan that you have as well. Like we've spoken a million times, cars, vehicles, you can literally have weekly payments now if you really want to, which is the stupidest thing. The majority of people don't even get paid weekly.
Yeah, true.
And in this
it's just to make that first number look so low,
Yeah. So and people eat that up, but then your term is for 8 years. Sometimes it's best to just sell it. But we're gonna talk about that in a bit there. Mm-hmm. But the last point that I have to this here, to paying off debt, and we've spoken about this in one of our very few first episodes, is to use the debt snowball or debt avalanche.
This was the very first episode of the College of Wealth podcast.
Was it the first one?
I think so. Yep.
I think so. One of the very first ones, anyways. Mm-hmm. But I would only recommend to use those strategies if you're completely 100% adamant on keeping absolutely everything. All the assets that you have, then use those strategies. Because
consider selling first.
Yes. If it's a detriment or it's holding you back or anything, and it's not really doing anything other than A, stroking your ego, B, just making you happy temporarily, and it's not actually contributing to your lifestyle. I've said it to him, like, my father has raised me for the longest time. He's like, at the end of the day, you only need 2 things in this world. You need food and you need a roof over your head.
True.
Those are the bare minimum, the basic. And he said it. A car, there's buses around here. Like, I mean, I know you living out of town, like where you used to live.
My
hometown. Your hometown. But for a lot of places, there's city buses. You can make do with that. You're not paying for gas. You're not paying for insurance. You're not paying for a loan payment. You're not paying for servicing or anything like that. You're paying for what, $70 a month? To $100 a month. Even if it's $200 a month, it's still cheaper than owning a car.
Yeah, cash flow wise, it totally makes sense.
Yes. So it's not necessarily and now that you want a fancy car, not only that, now you just put yourself into another class, and now you're just stroking your ego, and now you're putting yourself in a financial burden because you want to fulfill your own prophecy.
Yeah, and it doesn't always have to be about showing off. Sometimes right, it's just about stroking your own ego, and it's just I'm the type of person that drives this type of car. Yeah, sometimes you might not be able to afford that type of car.
Is the stress worth it?
Yeah.
Is the stress worth it?
Who owns who? That's
Yes.
my favorite question. Do you own your car? Or does your car own you?
Very much so. I like it. That basically concludes the first segment to this here. Our second segment is going to be talking about another big stressor for a lot of people, and that's not inadequate, but uneven financial views with partners or roommates.
Yes. Okay, yes.
That is a huge thing. I had to include roommates in here because when it comes to paying whatever or whatnot, paying heat, hydro, internet, the rent itself, how are you going to split things up? And people don't always agree, don't meet eye to eye with that.
I have the perfect example. Moving out of high school and moving into another town for university, I got along with some buddies, and this one guy was adamant at saying we get the best internet package no matter what. On the upper echelon of those internet packages, I was like, oh, $100 and you get a really good internet. I'm like, great, we can do that. Yeah, but for $200 you can get double. I'm like, yeah, but the markup, the extra price,
$200. Oh my Lord!
And he's like, we're just getting the best one because we're a bunch of us in this and that. I'm like, I don't agree. I think this here's plenty. I mean, we're dealing with 3% of that back home. We were dealing with 3 megabytes versus 100 megabytes, and I'm like, that's plenty. That's plenty for everyone. And that was a fundamental disagreement.
Yeah. And that's the biggest thing. Like a stat was saying, 35% of married couples say that the leading cause of their relationship stress is due to financial indifferences.
Wow.
Financial differences, I should say.
Yeah. Well, it's so huge too, and it's so weird because that's something that can be resolved with a conversation.
Yes.
And a lot of times a conversation earlier on in the relationship, before moving in.
Yeah. That's a huge thing. And talk about moving in. My girlfriend moved in about just short of a month ago. Yeah. And that was a huge thing for both her and I. I was like, okay, well, how are we going to split things? I think we've said it before. We have it split up in a way so any of the big payments or anything like that, we have it split up so it reflects our salaries. And so whoever's making more is going to pay a little bit more, but anything more like for smaller payments, food, groceries, or whatever like that, we split it 50-50.
Oh, there you go.
We just go
perfectly logical.
Yeah, and it makes it easier or whatnot. We have a set payment or what we want, and it really, really works out. But we spoke about that prior to moving in, and we made sure that we were all we were in agreement, and we saw eye to eye with that. So when it came to that kind of stuff, it was a seamless transition.
Exactly. Which, by the way, nice going on the planning, because it can be such a huge stress, and it's so easy to overlook it.
Yes.
You always think love is love, but it's like, well, lots of things can get in the way of love. So
that's just it. A lot of people just jump in on that, and they put their heart on their sleeves. And I'm forever thankful for my girlfriend in that sense, that we're both financially literate. I'm not saying those people aren't financially literate. I'm just saying we're both financially inclined, where we pay attention to our finances very closely. So she's there, and on her side, she's like, I don't want to get screwed over either. Like,
right.
And I don't blame her one bit at all.
Yeah, and it's important to get on that agreement early on. Because if you renege after you put someone in a position like that, then all of a sudden there's a negative perception of, oh, I'm just putting a scenario here. She moves in, and then you say, okay, you owe me this much. It's like, whoa, where did this come from? And, oh, you're trying to entrap me because of money and stuff like that. And it can get real nasty really fast if you don't address it.
Exactly. And I mean, that's exactly why it was a seamless transition for both her and I, where money isn't a big stressor for us between her and I, because we discuss about our finances very frequently, but not in a stressful way, but in a productive way.
You set expectations,
Yes. So the next thing, the second point that I have to talk about for this here is exactly like what I was saying, to talk about it. Don't wait until it's too late or you're arguing with each other. Bring it up. And if someone has an issue with it, then ask why it's an issue. Ask those questions. And if you're trying to be productive and they're counterproductive, then evaluate the relationship. And
True.
Also break down the weak points to your financial plan. What exactly is going on? Is your boyfriend spending all the money on stupid things or whatnot while you're saving up all the money? You're both wanting a down payment, but it just seems that 85%, 90% of what's been saved up is your money.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas he's there and he's not doing anything and he's just spending, or vice versa. Your girlfriend is just not doing, not putting in the legwork. Now you got to be also understanding at the same time. Someone who's making $100,000 a year is going to be able to save up $1,000 a lot quicker than someone who's making $50,000 a year.
Yeah, no doubt.
So you can't go and say, why haven't you, well, I was able to go and put down $3,000 this month for our down payments, towards our down payment. Why haven't you? Meanwhile, they make $2,500 in a month.
Yeah. Exactly. And I guess that's why you chose the proportion reason for the big ticket items, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Because I want both of us to grow together.
Yeah, exactly.
And this is a reality. It's good to be able to be financially open with your partner, but it's also good to have separate finances as well.
Oh, yes.
Because what you enjoy and what your partner enjoys isn't always 100% going to line up.
Yeah.
I'm not into all the things that my girlfriend likes, just like she's not into everything that I like. So when I decide, you know what, I'm going to go out and I'm making this up here, but I want to go and spend $100 or $200 this month to go play golf. She's not into that kind of stuff. Well, that's my money or whatnot. That doesn't affect our overall finances. If I'm still able to go and save up doing things like that, she doesn't have to worry about it. But if we're in a shared account with everything, then everything's going to be put under the microscope. Well, why did you go and spend money on this? Why did you go and do that? And because she's not into golf, she'll be like, well, did you really have to spend $200? By the way, this is not my girlfriend. I'm just saying.
No, you're totally
perspective.
Right. Yeah, I know this guy that I watch on YouTube. He says he makes most of the money in the house.
Yep.
And he said, okay, here's how I break it down. I put this amount of money always into the family account. This is just for family events.
Yep.
I also have an account for her spending money. And I also have an account for my spending money.
Okay.
And then every now and then she might say, hey, can I buy this? He's like, well, is it your spending money? Yeah, it is. Okay, you don't even have to ask me. It's whatever, you know? If you're going to ask for together spending money, then it's, okay, well, it's a decision that we have to make together.
Interesting. Yeah.
And having that separation can be healthy. But again, it all matters on your viewpoints, you know, and having that discussion.
Exactly.
Does this seem like the best solution? No, then propose a better one. Mm-hmm. And just trying to get to that better one, right?
Yeah, no, exactly.
So yeah, just do something that works for you both.
Yeah, no, exactly. You got to work it out, but you have to communicate that with one another. Like I said beforehand, communication is key.
Yeah.
And our last point to this here, I think it's the biggest point. Doesn't matter if you have another account of any kind. If you're planning on making bigger expenses, don't do secret spending.
Oh no.
Do not do it. And unfortunately I know some people who have done that or who do that with their partners. Yeah. And it really, really, really puts their relationship on the line.
I can imagine. Secrets are almost never good.
No. Especially when you're going behind your partner's back.
Yeah. Well, people have an assumption that they're in a certain spot. Here's where I am, and here's where a relationship is. Then all of a sudden, it's maybe all the way below your expectations. All of a sudden, it's, this is an area of concern now.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah. Exactly. And a lot of people push it aside. Oh, well, I'll deal with it later. I'll deal with it later. Well, at one point, dealing with it later may already be too late.
True.
So guess what? You purchased those things you wanted, but now you just lost yourself your partner, the person that you spent years building a relationship with.
Yeah.
Congratulations. Exactly.
So whenever there's a problem, if you don't address it, it'll just grow into a bigger problem most of the time, right?
Like you said, secrets are never good.
Yeah.
Our third segment now is another pretty obvious one, but we're going to break it down, is lack of financial stability. Another huge stressor for people is lack of financial stability.
I can imagine.
Yes. 78% of families live paycheck to paycheck in the United States. And on top of that, 66% of them don't have an emergency fund.
Wow.
So imagine living, so almost 80% of them live paycheck to paycheck, of people, I should say, because it's probably somewhat similar in Canada. And 66% of people don't even have an emergency fund put aside.
66 of those people? So like
50%? No. In general, 66% of people. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yep.
Whoa.
It's wild, to say the least.
Really.
And for financial stability, it comes down to the very similar point too, is to determine the root cause. You need to break down why exactly are you financially unstable. Is it because you're not bringing in enough money, or is it because you're spending too much money? And if you're spending too much money, what is it exactly that you're spending on? Are you spending on useless things or on the necessities? Mm-hmm. It's a different story to go and say, hey, well, I'm not making enough money, but you're also spending $3,000 a month on rent, and you're also spending $2,000 on a vehicle.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, you can get yourself rent and you can get yourself a vehicle, but I mean, unless you're in New York City or in Los Angeles, which I think $3,000 a month. I mean, New York wouldn't even be enough, but if you have to evaluate even if it's worth it to live there at that point.
Yeah, and you can compare yourself to similar markets as well. Like,
yes.
Are your expenses normal for a person making your kind of money?
Yes, that's a really, really good thing to look at in the grand scheme of things there, and take a time to reflect your lifestyle. And like you were saying, lifestyles are temporary. You don't have to live a lavish lifestyle. And I have yet to, I'd rather be called a cheapskate than be pretending to be living a lavish lifestyle.
True. Because that's what a lot of it is pretending. Let's take Supreme or Gucci for an example.
Yeah.
The classic example is you'll never see Mark Zuckerberg, one of the richest people on earth, wearing Supreme, Gucci, that kind of stuff. He wears plain tees, maybe some merchandise from his store, which is probably $50-$60 at most, But you'll usually find people who can't make that kind of money. They'll be having this Gucci belt and a Chanel bag and Supreme, I don't know, shoes, bricks.
Yeah. But you're right. You're totally right here. In that case, you need to also find that root cause, the biggest issue, the determining factor. There's only two ways money goes. It either comes in or it goes out.
True. So
there's only, are you making money or are you saving money? There's no other way of money doing other things.
And compare yourself to the national average. What's the national average of income? If you're making way above that and you're broke, it's your expenses. If you're making way below that and you're making ends meet, well, it's probably your income. Because the national average, people have to survive paycheck to paycheck still,
Yes, for sure. And with that there, it's crucial to also be doing your research. like you were saying about doing that, but it's also not only look for research, not only do your research in regards to, not only do your research in regards to national averages, but check out for credit cards that give cash back or Google Pay-in rewards. Not just, but the companies that literally pay you to buy certain items. Like, hey, we'll give you 30 cents back for purchasing this item. Like, though, I forget what those apps are or whatever.
Yeah, I'm not sure. This sounds nice, whatever you're talking about.
Yeah, I forget what that is. You take a photo of your receipt or whatnot, and they give a certain amount of cash back.
Oh, mystery shopper type deal? Or
kind of, sort of, yeah. They have ads on TV and everything. But
that could be enticing.
Yeah, but it's a way to save extra money. But you're being creative with that there. And also, look at opportunities. You don't have to, and this is me saying it, you don't have to go exactly in the field that you're studying in all the time. You can do it on the side, start yourself, build your groundwork or something. If you can't live at home or something like that, you absolutely can't live at home, then get yourself a secondary job or go and get a side hustle. Or just try and do something to make extra money. If not, cut your expenses.
Well, we've been hearing that from Americans for a bit, is people have to get a second job to make ends meet. Maybe that part of that is to support a certain lifestyle, but if you want to surpass it, that's what people are doing. They're grabbing a second job, and there's nothing wrong with getting a second job.
Yes.
It means nothing. It has nothing to do with your first one. You just do it to say, hey, I want to boost my lifestyle. I want to boost my net worth. I want to invest in myself. That's exactly what you're doing. And whenever you're working, you're not spending. It's for some people, that's really useful.
I like that. Awesome point to add to this here. Another thing you can do, obviously, is to sell your things. And I was talking about that. Getting downsize your apartments or downsize your home if it doesn't accommodate you, or get yourself a roommate, rent out the rooms that you have. You could also do that. You have a 5-bedroom house. Well, rent out 3 of those bedrooms.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's extra income that could come in as well. Or you have a lot of Gucci or Supreme or anything like that. Sell it. You're not going to get what you paid for it unless you have it as a collector's item. But
you lost your money as soon as you bought it, but you can still get good money back for it.
Yes. Now our last point, or last segment, I should say, and this one's a little bit about what a lot of people end up doing to try and make money, and it's regret and fear, and it's a fear of failure. But I like to go as not gauging your risk tolerance when starting side hustles or businesses.
Oh, okay.
And I'm throwing this one in here mainly due to the fact that 37% of startups fail due to running out of money. And on top of that, 31% fail due to no financing or investing interests.
Okay. They're
like angel investors or
they're too busy paying back the interest for the loans they got.
Well, 31% is no financing, so they didn't even get a loan.
Wow.
Yeah. So just in that, with just that saying there, 68% has to do with money. 68% of the failure has to do with money.
Well, that makes sense. That's the life source of any business, but
sure.
I get what you're saying.
So, and I'm bringing this up in particular because a lot of people decide, you know what, I'm going to go and start myself a business, or I'm going to do a side hustle. Yeah. And I'm here to talk a little bit about it here because it's not as easy as it sounds. It requires money, and sometimes it requires a lot of money, but sometimes you don't have to spend as much money as you think.
Yeah, it's true.
And the second point I have to say is, I guess it's a solution. If you really want to figure out how much your startup or your side hustle or your business is going to cost, create a business plan.
Yes.
People literally just dive in with no idea what they're going to do. And if you want to take the bull by the horn, go and build a business plan. They are long, they are tedious, or just build yourself a business, what they call a business model canvas. It's a bit of a mini business plan is what they call it, but it's an awesome framework to go in, get an idea what your business is going to entail.
It covers a lot of your essentials.
Yes.
Without having to go through the whole formatting and hyper details about it. You can,
because a full business plan can be 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 plus pages long.
Yeah.
It could be huge.
You got to work to make those pages too. Like,
yeah.
You know, a lot of work goes into it, but you're right. A business model canvas, right?
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Yeah, and that it is a fantastic way, simplified way of doing it, and getting it on paper keeps you accountable too.
Yes.
You budgeted for this much, and you're like, "Whoa, I'm going way over what I wrote down." Take a step back and reevaluate your position.
Mm-hmm. The third point that I have to add to this too is to not outsource everything. A lot of people, oh, well, I'm going to go and get a marketer. Oh, well, I'm going to get a finance person. Oh, well, I'm going to go and hire. Or I'm going to go and spend to do this. I'm going to do it yourself.
Yes.
Do it yourself. It's going to be a lot cheaper. And yeah, the quality isn't going to be there. There are things that I would not skip out on. Like if you're trying to build a brand of some sort.
Right.
It may be difficult to go and do it yourself unless you're willing to take the time to go and take the steps to learn how to properly do it.
A lot of businesses that grow past one person, they'll need something like a tech guy, a sales guy, and an operations guy.
Yes.
And if you're more of a salesy kind of person, okay, if you might be able to do marketing with it, but you might need a tech guy and operations guy,
yes,
you know?
For sure.
So you just got to be mindful of what your strengths are. And if you have to hire someone, hire your weaknesses. They'll balance you out and make you a much better operation.
I love that. It's true. Hire your weaknesses because you'll be able to go and build the best team possible.
And they'll keep you accountable too, because sales guys can easily have an inflated budget. Oh, we're going to spend on this, spend, and then sometimes an operation guy says, "Hold on, you can spend on some things, but watch out for this. Otherwise, you're going to be broke." So,
and our final point in regards to this here is to get the idea out of your head that you need other people to do quality work. And I'm going to go and rephrase this here. You have to provide quality right from the start, like master quality, retail quality from the start.
Oh, right.
Like if if you have a product, it has to have the shrink wrap around it. It has to have the display casing and everything perfectly. Guess what? The people or the companies that are doing that have millions of dollars, tens of thousands of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars to spend on to go and build those display cases, the marketing, anything like that. You don't.
Yeah.
Don't go and waste your money on things that'll increase your reputation by 5%. Do the small things that'll increase it by 25, 35, 40, 100%.
What you want to do is ROI. What's the biggest return on my limited amount of money that I have?
Yep.
And you're right. Doing that, a lot of people, they'll hire external firms and, oh, here you go. You just do it like this, and they'll do all the work for you. But maybe sometimes it might just be something like hiring a sales guy to push your product, and people have other ideas. It might just be a sales guy to go out and raise money for you. You know, that's an option too.
There's a lot of different ways of doing this, but you don't. But you really don't. Like a lot of people set themselves up for failure because they want quick returns. They want to see the progress very quickly, so they spend very quickly, they burn out very quickly, and then they fail.
Yeah, true.
Take the long way because everyone's in a rush to fail.
Everyone's in a rush to fail. Yeah, so divert from that path. Yeah.
Yeah. How are you supposed to grow when you're always following the path? You got to go into the bush. You got You got to go in the bush of the unknown, and you're going to be the one to discover it. You could go and hire someone to go and do it, but guess what? They had to go and travel through that bush themselves. So they had to go, they're going to pay top dollar for it. And guess what? Your funds depreciated. So now when you hired that one person who could help you in that specific avenue, but you're not going to have someone that's going to wear all the hats like you are right now, or is going to believe it as much as you are, unless they're a 50-50 partner.
Well, and that's another point too. If your business is going to go cash poor because you're hiring people, well, one of the tools that you can use at first is to start offering equity, and people can be interested in equity versus. So it is diminishing your long-term returns, but it might be better than going bankrupt.
It's a good point. I like that. So with that being said, that is episode 121, the biggest monetary fears or stresses and how you can tackle it.
Right on. That was fun.
I'm glad you liked it. So my name is Owen Paradis. I'm here with my co-host, William Goulet, and we're proud to present to you the College of Wealth podcast. Peace.
2 fingers peace.
This has been your daily dose of motivation with the College of Wealth podcast. If you enjoyed the show, make sure to leave us a positive review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. It would be greatly appreciated. Thank you for listening, and until next episode.